Hello again everybody and welcome back to the channel. There's a lot of exciting things coming at the allotment over the next few weeks and months. As we get through the winter, there's many DIY projects which I'm going to be doing. Now a lot of people think that when winter comes we stop gardening and that's it. We just leave it till the spring, but that's far from the truth. There's actually loads of things which I'm still doing over the winter. There's the new plot, of course, which we're slowly doing over the winter. But there's also my plot as well, which I'm going to be making many improvements on. I alluded on that in a previous video. I sort of touched on that and I mentioned that I'm going to be making some more no-dig raised beds. In fact, I'm going to be converting all of my allotment to no-dig raised beds. It's a massive project and I'm super excited to share this with you over the winter. And the reason why I'm actually doing this is because it's really hard to grow in quite a lot of beds. Growing in the ground is a challenge. I mean, I'll show you the beds in a bit. The in-ground beds, they're very wet and very heavy clay, and we didn't really harvest much from them this year. Most of the produce which we did get this year was from the raised beds which we already have. So I thought, you know what, let's just go for it. Let's convert the allotment completely no dig raised beds. There are many benefits to growing in raised beds. It's easier on your back, better drainage, no digging for a start. All I have to do is rake the soil every year, you know, apply a bit of compost on there. I don't need to break my back digging the soil. But of course there are some downsides as well. The materials which you use can break down over time. I'm going to be using wood, which obviously breaks down. I am going to be doing things to prolong the life of the wood, but more on that later. And of course, it's quite expensive. The materials for a raised bed can be expensive and filling them up can be very expensive as well. So there are pros and cons, but I think that the pros definitely outweigh the cons for sure. And honestly, this is my style of gardening, I think. Different people have different styles of gardening. This is the way that I like to do gardening, I think. So I'll go through with you what my plans are for the winter with these raised beds. And I'm going to be moving a lot of things around, like there's borders which I need to remove in order to get these raised beds in, and the wood from the borders I'll be using in other parts of the plot. And there's old wood from pallet collars which I need to remove as well. I've gotten 5 years out of them though, so that's pretty good going actually. Pallet collars, untreated, it's just heat treated wood. You know, 5 years of use out of them, I think it's pretty good really. In around a week's time, I'm going to have a week off work, so that'll allow me plenty of time to get this project started. It's going to be really, really good stuff. So anyway, let's clear some of this wood and get it burnt, ready for these raised beds. And let's just go around the allotment and see what's going on this week and what's happening. There's loads of stuff going on, even though we're in October. Anyway, let's go. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I've flipped you around to my mobile phone now. I find it much easier walking around with my mobile phone. It's less shaky. When I've got the camera, it's a bit shaky, and it's I don't want to make you guys dizzy. So I've got my phone now, and I want to show you what I'm doing at the moment. There's a lot of things going on, and of course a lot of that's going to be happening during the winter. A lot of DIY, complete renovation of the allotment, actually going completely no dig. Let's have a look what's going on. Okay, here we are. It is looking very messy at the moment, I have to say, but it's going to look messy before it gets better. I think it's definitely going to be worthwhile, and this is going to look brilliant in the spring, I think. So I've actually removed a lot of the old wood from the existing beds that were already here, the old wood. The wood itself was many years old and it's rotted away quite a lot now. It's no good anymore. That stuff's all here. I'm in the process of burning it. Well, I'm trying to burn it. I'm slowly trying to dry it out. It's very wet, so that's going to be a slow process, I think. Some of the wood's all right though here, which I've saved. I'm probably going to do something with that because that stuff's not too bad. But the main project is the new raised beds. I'm going to be putting quite a lot of raised beds around the allotment. I'm going to be putting 3 of them here, and these are going to be 1 metre by 3 metres in length. And I've actually taken out some old beds that were here as well. There was a bed here which was very heavy clay, and I struggled to grow stuff in it. That's the main reason why we're doing this. And there was 3 beds here as well. Of course, the soil from these old beds is going to be used to help fill these up as well. Obviously, I'm not going to get rid of it. And it was pallet collars that were here. And yeah, I got 5 years out of them, which is quite good, actually. Quite good. There was herbs here, which I have put in these buckets here. I'm going to move these somewhere else. Chives and oregano as well. I'll probably give some of them away and move some of them somewhere else at some point. I've just quickly put this wood here just to sort of like lay out where they're going to be. I'm not going to use this wood here, but this is sort of just so we can see what we're doing here and so you guys can see what's going on. I hope you can make that out. 3 raised beds there. We're also going to be making a few more raised beds as well. I'll show you where those are going to go. There's going to be another one here. This one's going to be 1 metre by 2 metre. That's going to go there. Another very heavy clay bed. And I'm going to be putting 3 of them here at the front as well. 1 metre by 2 metre again. Probably something like 1, 2, 3. And of course, yeah, the main reason is because it's such heavy clay soil. I think it's a good idea to do this. I should hopefully fit 3 of them here. 1 metre by 2 metre. I've measured it out and they should fit here. So that's 7 raised beds in total at the moment, which I'm going to be putting. I may even put a couple more than that in places as well. I may put some here and here as well, and maybe even here where I've removed all the old wood. This area is a bit rough. I need to make this area look better. Put new beds here. Now, yeah, so at least 7 raised beds. And you may be thinking, well, that's going to be a lot of compost, a lot of soil to fill them up. And yeah, I worked out it's going to be around 7 tons of soil to fill these raised beds up. But thankfully, I've actually got a little trick which I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing hugelkultur. I've done this with quite a few raised beds already. I've got quite a lot of raised beds around the allotment which have done really well. I used hugelkultur with that, and what that is just using materials which you've got around the garden to help fill them up. Wood chip, partly composting material, horse manure, pretty much anything, any organic waste you can use to help fill them up. And I've got a lot of wood chip paths around the allotment, and I've been applying it now for 4 or 5 years, and there's a good few inches of it all around the allotment. I'd say there's a good few tons of wood chip if I were to scoop it all up. And actually that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm scooping it all up and I'm going to be putting fresh wood chip paths down for next year. And that old wood chip is pretty much turning into compost really. It's not fully there yet, probably another year or so and it will be. This is going to be used to help fill the raised beds up. That and probably some horse manure as well, which I will be very careful with, by the way. But yeah, that's what I've done there. I've already put some onto it, just so it's in place. And all I've done is I've scooped up this path here and some of this path here. And that is how much we've got. We've got 3 pretty big piles of it already. So, you know, and if I were to do the rest of the plot, we're going to end up with a lot of it. Same in the big polytunnel as well. There's a lot of wood chip that's very much well broken down now. It's quite wet. This stuff's about 3 years old. I've already started scooping that up into here, and yeah, it's very much like compost now. It's not fresh anymore. If I put this on the bottom of the raised beds, it's going to break down over time, feed the soil, and it's a great bulk material as well. I've cleared all the peppers from this side of the polytunnel as well, and I've put the spring onions in as well here. And the brassicas on this side haven't been eaten by the slugs yet, although the rats keep digging in them. We've got purple sprouting broccoli, cauliflower, kale and cabbage in here. That's good. But yeah, they've been digging holes in the soil, which is not good. So I've got this rat bait, which I'm going to try. It's poison free. I've laid some of that there because this is an area where a lot of rats hide. A lot of rats hang out around here. One of them actually run around my legs the other day when I opened the polytunnel. One came shooting out of here. So we need to get on top of the rat problem. Yeah, these are looking pretty good, these. Purple sprouting broccoli there, doing nicely. So we're growing things through the winter. We've got our spring onions, we've got our overwintering brassicas, we've got leeks, we've got our garlic in as well. We've even got spinach and lettuce in the greenhouse as well. So we're still growing things through the winter. We're not wasting the space. So I'm just going to quickly show you the wood which I'm going to be using. About 10 months ago, I built these raised beds for my mum for her plot, and these are going to be going over there. That is the new plot over there. I've got another one of these to build yet, but I've built 4 of them so far, and they're going to be very similar to this, only that they're going to be a little bit narrower. These raised beds are 1.2 meters by 2.4 meters. And the raised beds which I'm building are going to be 1 meter by 3 meter and 1 meter by 2 meter. So they are a bit narrower, some are longer, some are a little bit shorter. The wood which I'm going to be using is the same as this. I got this wood from Wicks. It is 22 mil by 150 mil, and it is sold in 2.4 meter lengths and 3 meter lengths, I think. I'm probably going to be getting 3 meter lengths, so I've got more to work with. And to be honest, it's pretty cheap as well. It's pressure treated. This is £8.50 for a 3 meter length, 22 by 150 mil treated softwood, rough sawn. So yeah, it's cheap. It's not amazing quality, it's not planed, it's not smooth. It's ideal for DIY projects, really. So I'm going to be using that, pressure treated. But thankfully, I don't think wood is treated with any really dangerous chemicals now, like arsenic. I don't think they use arsenic in wood anymore. That was phased out like 20 years ago. Quote me if I'm wrong. I'm just going off the top of my head. Do correct me if I'm wrong. In the UK, I don't think they use arsenic in pressure treated wood anymore. I think it's copper and some other. I'm also using these for the braces on the corners as well. I'm going to be putting one on each corner and then one in the middle as well. And this is 45 by 70 mil CLS timber, pretty decent size. I want them to be quite thick to support the beds, and this stuff is £6 for a 2.4 meter length. So you know, it's pretty cheap, and yes, it will rot over time. And of course, if you want something that's going to last, you're best going with something like metal, which is more expensive, but they will last much longer, or Wood such as oak, redwood and cedar, which are naturally antifungal and take much longer to break down anyway. This is just spruce, softwood, and yeah, it's not going to last as long as redwood or oak or cedar. But saying that, there are things which I'm going to do to prolong the life massively. The first thing which I'm going to do to massively lengthen the life of the wood is line the inside with a damp-proof membrane. That is a really big no-brainer, to be honest. It's going to stop the soil from touching the wood and making it go rotten. This is going to add many years of life to the wood. And also this is going to stop any chemicals from leaching from the wood into the soil as well. So I've got that backup, I've got peace of mind that nothing's going to leach into the soil. But I'm not that concerned about the chemicals in the wood. I'm also going to make sure that it sits underneath the wood. So the wood isn't actually sat on the soil. The membrane is sort of going to overlap, or underlap should I say. It's going to come under like that to stop the wood from rotting at the bottom. And I may also apply a wood treatment paint to the outside as well to further prolong the life of the wood. But to be honest, I think it's going to last a while anyway. You know, I think I could get at least 10 to 15 years of use out of these raised beds, at least, because I'm doing things to prolong the life of it. And you know, it's pretty decent wood as well. It's not bad really for the price. On a budget, it's definitely a no-brainer, and it's going to definitely provide us with a lot of returns on this investment in the future. So that's what I'm doing with that. Look at that, lovely stuff. The garlic is starting to grow now, looking really good. Signs of life. The carrots are doing really well in here still as well. They're still growing, even though we're in the middle of October. They still seem to be growing. Look at that. There's quite a few of them like that. These are going to be our Christmas carrots. The carrots outside have sort of come to a finish now. There's not really many left out there now. But the ones in the buckets, in the polytunnel, sorry, the greenhouse, the ones in the greenhouse are looking really good. Really happy with those. I've got 4 buckets on the go here. 2 buckets were earlier sowings and the other 2 here were later. I sowed these a few weeks later than the other ones. Now this is the only part of the allotment that hasn't really been cleared at all yet. This is the small polytunnel, and yeah, I've not really touched it yet. There's quite a lot of stuff in here, to be honest. We've got our physalis, which is fallen over, not really yielded a crop. The fruit inside them lanterns isn't really growing, to be honest. You know, they're only very small and they're green, so I don't know if we'll get anything off them. We had a really cold night last night. It got down to 2 degrees Celsius. You know, that's a sign that, you know, winter's coming and the nights are getting much colder now. It's only a matter of time now before we get a ground frost or air frost and everything gets killed off. You know, you're talking only a couple of weeks really. The sweet potatoes are starting to die back now. They're not looking very good. The ones in the buckets are looking worse than the ones in the ground. Look at them, they're not really growing anymore. I mean, 2 degrees Celsius at night, they're not going to enjoy that very much at all. They are a tropical plant. Yeah, I had a sneak peek last week and it didn't look like there was much growing in there. I mean, you can kind of see a sweet potato there. It's not very big at all. It's like finger length. You know, it's like a finger. So yeah, maybe we'll try again next year. Our butternut squashes. We've already picked one of them. We picked one a couple of weeks ago and it was really good. We've still got plenty more on the go. We've got one there, which looks pretty nice. It's not ready yet. We've got another one there. We've also got 3 more of them right there, which are a pretty decent size, but they're not quite ready yet. I can't see any more. So there's 5 that I can see at the moment, and we've already picked 1, so that's 6. And there are 3 plants here, I think. A couple of squashes per plant, not the best, but I never usually get anything from butternut squashes, so you know, it's not too bad, I suppose. There are a few more smaller ones around. I don't think they're going to come to fruition though. They're not going to grow. I mean, they're starting to rot. But the plants are still trying to go for it. They don't really seem to be slowing down. Yeah, there is still quite a few very small ones, so we could have got more than 6. You know, if we were to live in a tropical climate that doesn't really get winters like we do in the UK, we get winter obviously, so we're quite limited to when we can grow things. You know, if these were able to grow for much longer, I think we would have got more. I've seen many people on Instagram and stuff post pictures, and they've got literally like a wheelbarrow full of butternut squash, and they're like laying these butternut squashes out all over the place. And honestly, how do you do it? Because, you know, I was really happy with my 1 butternut squash which I grew, and we may get a couple more, or we may just end up picking something like that after we get the frost. We'll see. But yeah, they're not done too bad, I suppose, but I am a little bit envious of those that managed to grow tons and tons of butternut squash. So that was a bit of a ramble and a bit of a vlog today. There's loads of exciting things coming over the next few months, loads of projects to do. Of course, there's the new plot. We need to build the compost bays on the new allotment. I've already made a start with one of them because I had a lot of material to put in there. But we also need to put my mum's raised beds on there and fill them up, and I'm going to have to move all my potato buckets over there as well, which actually have the brassicas in at the moment. But I'm going to be getting more buckets to grow the potatoes in. I need to get about probably 20 or 30 more buckets, I think. Actually no, we're going to have to get more than that because we have the strawberries to put buckets into. Because we have the strawberries which we need to put in buckets as well, so we're going to have to get like 40 or 50 more of them 30-litre buckets. So yeah, we're going to be doing that over the winter. Well, blimey. And of course we've got all the raised beds to build as well, which should be fun. It's one thing building the raised beds, but it's another thing filling them. That is the challenge, I think. That's the thing that's going to be the hardest. I'm going to be using the hugelkultur method, which is basically layering organic matter to help fill the raised bed. It's like a bulk material to help fill it up. I've done this many times around the allotment with other raised beds. You know, I've built a few raised beds over the last few years and used that method, and it's worked really well. Now, of course, it's going to cost quite a bit of money to build the raised beds. You know, I'm going to need, like, I've worked out I'm probably going to need about 32 lengths of timber, and they're each 3 meters long. So it's going to cost around, so it's going to cost a bit of money, but hopefully it's not going to cost much to fill them because I'm going to try and be clever with it. Now I'm going to be transparent with you all. I'm actually going to be using money from what I've earned on YouTube to build the raised beds. I decided it's best any money that I get from YouTube, I reinvest it back into the allotment. So that's what the money which I earn on YouTube is going to do. It's going to buy the wood to build the raised beds, and also to buy any topsoil to fill them as well. And besides this, I've also used money which I've earned on YouTube to purchase the seeds for next year and pay my allotment rent as well. So just to be transparent with you all, that is what I'm spending the money which I earn on YouTube to do, to build more things like raised beds and do more projects and buy more things like potato buckets and stuff like that, and even compost and seeds and allotment rent. So it's all going back into the allotment, and if it's not going into the allotment, it's going on things like the editing software and also the music licensing, which I use as well. I use Epidemic Sound for all my music which I put over my videos. You know, that costs a bit of money every month as well for the licensing and to use the editing software. I do hope you enjoyed this little vlog video. If you did, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you'll never miss any videos like this in the future. I will see you in the next one. Happy gardening and stay safe.